Congratulations, you've just found the #1 over 50 health and wellness podcast on the planet. Hello and welcome to the Over 50 Health and Wellness Show. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm a healthy aging expert and the founder of The Silver Edge, and I am on a mission to help men and women just like you build lean, strong, healthy, amazing, capable bodies they love for the rest of their lives. All right, beautiful people, here we go, confession time. So, it just so happens that I am a nutrition coach who doesn't really like vegetables. And by doesn't really like vegetables, I mean, I don't really like them. I mean, I eat them. I'm just not what you'd call a fan, not even close. So today's episode actually challenged me. And here's why. And I know this might sound a little bit crazy to some of you, but what if the reason you're tired and gaining weight and feeling older than you should isn't your age, but it's the fact that you're eating dead food? Yeah, I said it. Today's guest believes that nearly everything we've been taught about food is backwards, and that the real key to energy and longevity and vitality is going 100% raw plant-based. All right, I get it. Bear with me. Before you roll your eyes, hear me out. This guy is 66 years old. He runs marathons, he takes zero medication, and he's been living this lifestyle for over 16 years. So today I sat down with Axay Shah, and in this episode, we're diving deep into his raw food philosophy, what he actually eats in a day, why he believes cooked food is the problem, and whether there's something here that you can take and apply to your own life. Now, you might not agree with everything you hear today, but I guarantee this conversation is going to challenge you and you're going to have some takeaways here. So, people, whip up your raw food smoothie and let's meet Axay.
I was healthy. I was not sick any time, but before when I started raw food, I didn't have enough energy. Otherwise, everything was okay. I was eating cooked food, and then there was no issue. I didn't have any medical condition. So everything was good. But at the age 50, I found that I don't have same energy what I had at 30 and 40. So that was the only thing I was looking for.
So energy, right? Chasing that energy. And I think a lot of our listeners probably can relate to that. Now, you mentioned you were eating cooked food. Were you eating the standard American diet? Were you more vegetarian? Were you whole foods? Or what did your diet look like, before age 50?
Whole my life, I was vegetarian.
Okay.
But, 4 years, I ate meat.
Okay.
So it's like occasionally. It's like because being in a Hindu family, you cannot eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
So just to be a rebellious person,
Sure.
you want to revolt, you want to break the rule. So I ate all those 4 years meat, means, lamb meat and fish, chicken, eggs, everything. Now, going forward, nobody asked me to start it and nobody asked me to stop it. So I don't know why, but I didn't like it, so I stopped it. Now, is fast forward to 2009, I felt that, okay, you know what, I'm eating all this food and it's all fine. I'm not facing right now any issue, but probably it is I want to get ready for my senior age. So that was the whole thing, just I wanted to see that because I was seeing other people are suffering a lot for all medical condition. And that was the only thing I was worried that, hey, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like at the 60 or 70 kind of inactive and couch potato and cannot do anything and limited in the movement on all those stuff and a lot of medication.
Right.
So those are the things I wanted to avoid. And so far, successfully, I avoided, I'm not seeing doctor for any disease or sickness, no medication, running marathons, doing my work. And I'm blessed. I'm okay.
Yeah, no, I love it. I personally resonate with that part of your story. Somewhere in my mid 40s to late 40s, health-wise, I just crashed and burned. I was very metabolically unhealthy, but I was doing all of the things in my lifestyle that would make a man metabolically unhealthy. But to your point, when I looked around at my peers, the close peer group I had, we were all kind of in that same boat. We all had this very fatalistic attitude. We joke about, it's all downhill for here. Getting old sucks. I was only in my 40s, right? And long story short, I ended up with a 3-day stay in a hospital, and that's why I'm here today. I decided, hey, I had young kids at the time, a beautiful young wife. I wasn't ready for this story of it's all downhill from here and this constant decline, just all of the things that go with that. And so I started on this path, and it was a long climb kind of out of that hole. But to your point, yeah, when we look at the norm of people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, most aren't vibrant and healthy and strong and capable and out running marathons, etc. So yeah, I could certainly appreciate that. Now, prior to, let's say, wind it back again, before 50, what was your physical activity? I know today you're a big marathoner. I want to dig into that a little bit, but what were you doing before that?
Not much.
Not
Not
much?
much. No, not even many sports. So
Mhm.
I was not doing much physical activity. Just a regular work and not even going to gym, not running, not. So I was playing little bit of volleyball. That's about it. But otherwise, there was no physical movement. No.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's get into it here. So we got the background now. That set the stage very nicely. So you have a website called Raw Foodiest. You've got the book In Nature We Trust, right? That's the Raw Food Manifesto for Energy, Healing, and Longevity. So let's hop right into it. Why raw food? Why plant-based raw food? What made you make that decision? And then let's talk about what you noticed when you did that.
So, as I said, when at 50, I was looking for the solution why I do not have enough energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked in the nature, except human, all animals are eating raw food. Whatever food they are eating, but they are eating raw food. Human is the only animal eating cooked food. So I wanted to just try. I wanted to do experiment on myself that how I feel, and I did that kind of experiment in my teenage life. I ate 1 month just a salad, 1 month only mung beans. Those kind of experiment I did it before, so it gave me kind of confidence that I can try. And I was not knowing how far I'm going to go, how many days I'm going to do, and how I'm going to feel. So, but that experiment gave me tremendous advantage. I started getting better energy, better ball movement. Everything was going in positive direction. So then I decided to keep continue, why to let go. And little by little, I evolved. It's not that the day one I was doing fantastic. So I was eating even in beginning some kind of processed food, but then I eliminated. I eliminated as we go further, and that gave me more confidence that what, now I want to do research, and that research produced this book. But
Yeah.
yeah, basically because of my attitude for exploring, to do experiment on myself and find out the truth, find out what is the reality, why human species, the only species, is suffering so much. And even after taking so much medication, doctors, a lot of health gurus and pundits and all those things is there, and still we are suffering. So thank God, I think I'm going in right direction. I kept doctor away, and I'm in a very good condition as for my age.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll share this with you, Aksay. So I mentioned that obviously somewhere in my 40s, I'm spinning out of control. But again, that was all self-induced, admittedly. And I never went raw plant food, but I have no idea, but why, I can't really remember what prompted me to do this, but I stumbled somewhere, probably listening to a podcast. I stumbled upon this 30-day vegan challenge, and they had recipes and everything. Every day you got the recipes, etc. It was all whole raw food. And I'll tell you, after 30 days, I felt freaking fantastic. And I thought to myself, holy moly, this is it. This is the holy grail. I found the magic pill. It's plant-based. And in reality, probably what happened was I was eating the standard American diet. I was eating chips and sodas and drinking heavily alcohol. I was having French fries and all of the things, right? And then all of a sudden, pow, day one, I was making black bean burgers by soaking the beans and, not buying the Impossible Burgers and anything like that. And I was doing making these wonderful salads, etc. And I was convinced that that was the way to eat. So, and at the time, I was also running a lot of marathons and triathlons. I was a big fan of Rich Full. I'm guessing you probably know who that is. The wonderful podcaster, been a plant-based advocate for, I think, decades, and an endurance athlete. But what happened to me in my story is I probably stayed on that path close to a year. I mean, I gave it a pretty good shot. But towards the end of that, because you already mentioned, you were eating some of the processed food. I was eating 100% processed food or 100% whole food in that first month. By month 12, I was eating 90% processed food. I'd gotten kind of lazy. I was trying to build some muscle at that time, and there were guys like Robert Sheik. I think this is the vegan bodybuilder guy, and he wrote a book on vegan bodybuilding. And his advice was like, look, you got to get your protein up. We got to do it any way we can. And he was saying things like, eat 8 tofu dogs, for lunch, eat 8 tofu dogs. So I was eating 8 tofu dogs. And so I was a vegan, but I'd gone away from that whole food. And what happened was I got a cabinet with like $1,000 worth of supplements in there because I was feeling like crap and was trying to figure it out. So I'd go to Google and I'd say, okay, what do vegans need to supplement with? And I was doing these vegan, but long story short, at any rate, I stopped that. And fast forward to where I am today. So I'm 62 and I eat pretty much all 80, 90% whole foods. I will say I do eat quite a bit of meat. I try to select mostly grass-fed and wild-caught lean cuts of meat, but I still feel fantastic. I think that secret that I thought I discovered, back there 15 years or so ago, was more breaking out of the prison of the standard American diet than it was, hey, I found the secret of plants. Now, to be fair, had I stayed with the whole foods in that plant-based diet, I might have lasted longer. But that devolving into basically I was now eating the American standard diet just without any meat sources or animal sources in there. So I don't know if you can relate to that or not, but certainly that was my journey. I did the whole plant-based thing for, like I said, about a year, and that I've tried a whole bunch of things in between as well. I love the idea that you said, hey, I want to experiment on myself. So I've done cut out all gluten. I've cut out all sugar. I've tried to cut out these different food groups. I've cut out dairy for a while. These things to just see how my body reacts, how it feels on these different energy sources. So I love that idea of self-experimentation. But getting back to your journey here, so you started with this plant-based. You said, hey, I want to try raw. I am so curious. I'm sure my listeners are as well. What do you eat a day? What does a day of eating look like for somebody who is a whole food, plant-based, raw person? What does that look like?
So I know it is a crazy thing, even to start and even to think about it, the raw food. And I did it in a spur of a moment. I didn't plan anything. It was like we were celebrating my mother's birthday on December 5th, 2009. And in a party, I just said casually that, hey, I'm planning to go for raw food January 1st, New Year resolution.
Sure. Yeah.
So that thing. And then my brother-in-law said, hey, you know what is in 1st January? Today is your mom's birthday and you ate already. And that clicked me here. And I said, yeah, you know what is in 1st January? Let me start. So 6th of December, that's the spur of a moment I decided. And from 6th of December 2009, I was on raw food. I started eating all. So instead of eliminating anything, my process was including everything. So in a, like whatever raw available fruits, vegetable, nuts, I was eating without any fuss about the nutrition, any fuss about the this or that calcium and omega-3 and blah 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 blah. Nothing. Just let me just consume as much as the food which is raw. That was the whole concept. And concept was mimicking the other animal, mimicking the other species in the world. They are thriving without any kind of disease what humans have. So that was my main entry point. And once I dived in, and once I started feeling better, then I started doing research that, hey, which vegetable is better. Then I found out, hey, you know what, according to US nutritional index, sweet potato have a highest nutrition is 184, and the regular potato is just 100. This is, I'm talking about raw. And so then, okay, whatever I found better and good and available, and it is easy to eat, and I started using it, and I created. I was not following anybody. I didn't follow any who is doing what is the recipe and what this and that. Nothing. Whatever I liked, I ate. So a lot of people at that time, hey, this is not raw. I said, I make my own rule. Nobody tells me what to eat, what not to eat.
Sure.
So
I love it.
this is my body. I am the owner of this body.
Yes, sir.
I want to make rule on my own. And so, as I said, earlier I was eating the granola bar in the morning with the breakfast with the tea. And then I ate around a year and a half, and then I quit. I said, no, this is not good. Even though it is the perception is healthy, but it is not good. So I just took it out, and I started eating almond and walnut instead granola bar. So those are the thing which I evolved, and I evolved, and it getting better and better and better. And here I am after 16 and half year, and I'm still going strong. Yeah.
All right, Axay, I want to break this down though. Okay. So what's a typical breakfast for you?
So
What do we eat? What do
in
we
the
eat?
morning is tea.
Mm-hmm.
Now again, green tea is not raw. I warm it
Good
up.
point. Yeah.
So,
Right.
but that is not. I consider a lot of people argue, hey, this is not raw. I said, yeah, but this is not food. This is a beverage.
Yeah.
This is not. I'm
Like you
eating
said,
like a food.
it's your body, your journey, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I am taking one green tea in the morning, and with the tea, little bit of almond and walnut. That's about it. Then
Okay.
in around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, before going to work, around in a car or at home, one banana.
Okay.
And later on, I take my lunch with me. So apple and whatever the in season available fruits, it's a persimmon or pear or kiwi or whatever, tangerine, whatever is available, I just take with me. And that couple of fruits is my lunch.
Okay.
Come in between, if I am hungry, I take my lots of nuts with me in my car, so I eat little bit nuts. If not, no, I don't have to worry about it. And then coming home at evening, I eat vegetables. So vegetables is any vegetables, as I said, let's say sweet potato, chop it off, add, add some salsa, some chutney, the black vinegar, and the yeast, nutritional yeast flax,
Mm-hmm.
all those things, mix it together, make yummy. It's not just
Yeah.
boring food. It is, and I add some more seeds also. It's like pumpkin seed, sunflower seed, and then I take on side olive and stuff. So it is this full fine dinner with homemade kombucha I make, and I make kombucha out of coconut water. So
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
also, yeah.
Yeah.
So it is a fantastic dinner for me, and that's about. But that quantity is just little, not the huge quantity. I used to eat before a lot before I
Mm-hmm.
started raw food. I have a same body is like weight is same. I lost a lot of weight, but otherwise I didn't lost the weight, but my appetite become very small. Before I used to eat like a pig and
Mm-hmm.
and didn't had enough energy. Now I am eating like a really very little, small portion, but I have tremendous energy. That's the biggest difference. Yes.
Do you think that that's because the nutrient density of raw whole foods, that's perhaps you need less of that? I mean, I'm just kind of trying to pick that apart. Eating less food, more energy. Do you think it's what you're eating, or do you think it's just the quantity that it just somehow that's
So,
your energy balance? Because when I hear eating small, low calorie, my nutrition coaching brain goes to slow metabolism, which, we could argue that may or may not be a good thing. What do you think is the cause of that?
so what we eat is important,
Yes.
but more important is what we absorb. So most
Correct.
of the
Yeah. Good
people,
point.
what they are doing, they are eating a lot. Actually, they are not absorbing. Maybe 50, 60, 70% goes out of their body next morning without even digesting, without absorbing the nutrients. Now that is all waste. Now body have to work hard to digest that much quantity of the food. Instead, now it is less food. So body is now not wasting the energy to digest all those food, which is,
Yeah.
in fact, actually they cannot digest it. So now it is with the small portion absorbing more nutrients and creating the power. Power, the energy is important. The
Yes.
main reason why I ask people why we eat food, just to please your palate, or you want to create energy. So if you want to create energy, the food is the fuel. We are putting the fuel in the body, and that fuel is creating the energy. Now then, think like this, which fuel is the better? The cooked food or other meat or whatever you want, that you just think about it. And then if you see this is the plant-based raw food is the right fuel. Our body is designed to eat plant-based raw food. And that's what I concluded. And that gave me, tremendous power that, okay, you know what? Now, because I concluded this is the right fuel for me, this is right fuel, not only producing the enough energy, more energy, but no side effect. My body, my other organ do not have to suffer because of those cooked food or processed food or even animal food. So, because I see this way, our body constitution is alkaline. So our body is, let's say, blood is the lifeline. Blood is 7.4 pH level. Now that's universal, regardless whether you are a meat eater or you are a vegetarian or what. This is 7.4. That is, generally it is the pH level. Now, all cooked food, regardless what kind of food, is acidic. Now, our stomach is producing acid, the digestive acid is there already. Now you are adding more. Now it is not the balancing, the body, the chemical balancing is not enough, because now body have to work hard to reduce that acidity and make it alkaline. All those stuff is gone because my raw food is all alkaline. That is the another thing is, and enough, giving enough energy, not any side effect. Why not then? I see that way. I am not eating to please my palate. That willpower I have, and most of the people, they cannot do it because they are addicted to cook food. And I say this, and this is my statement: all cooked food is a dead food. There is no life in there. Because if you see that any seed, if you throw it in a soil, something will sprout. It will come out, and it become bush, and it maybe one day it become tree. Any cooked food, you put it in a soil, any food, nothing will come out, zero, because there is no life left. It is all, we killed it with the heat. So that is the what I see it is, the life is in the raw food. Life is in the, all the plant-based raw food is there. And when we eat it, we absorb that life, real life. And that life is creating the enough energy.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with, because what you're describing there is metabolism, right? That magic that happens when we consume food and it converts to us, to energy, which is your your muscles, your brain, it becomes your thoughts and emotions. All of this is the foundation of that is what we put in our body. Okay, so just to play devil's advocate here for just a second, I'm really reaching back here. I read a long time ago, there was this evolutionary biologist who posited that the reason humans developed and separated from other primates was specifically because of cooked food. It allowed their brains to develop faster. I don't have a dog in that fight. I have no idea of how,
No,
if
you are
that's true,
absolutely
not true.
right.
But there is that idea that there was that, that what separates us, and maybe it was the fact that we cooked food and we had access now to food that other animals did not. But at any rate, leaving that alone, I think that idea.
No,
Go
Kevin,
ahead.
I want to tell you about this. What you said is 100% true. Because of the cooked food, our human evolution become much more better. Our brain become much more larger, smarter, faster, growing. Now, that happened long back. At one time, cooked food, so is like fire. We humans started using fire for cooked food is like around 500,000 years back. Before that, there was no fire. Now, between us and chimpanzee, around 4% DNA difference. Otherwise, 96% DNA is same. So at that point, while eating cooked food was a blessing. That was the boon that gave us advantage to evolve our brain much faster, bigger, better, smarter. It was then. When? Because the food was in scarcity. Human has to eat the food, conserve the all the energy as much as possible, because you ate food now, you don't know when is going to
your
be next
meal.
meal.
That's a good point. Yeah.
All right, there was no refrigerator then. There was no, it was not even people had house. They were living in caves and jungles and hunter.
Yeah.
They
We
used
didn't
to
have Whole
go.
Foods right down the street or Trader Joe's that we could go
Right,
and grab some veggies,
right.
right? Yeah. Yeah.
So
Take it.
they were smart. They were very smart. They did it at that point what was right at that point. Because of that, our evolution become good. And on top of that, we started eating everything. Forget about the plant and this, that. We started eating meat and everything. That is all. That was also good. Why it was good? Because at that time, survival was in question. We would have wiped out like dinosaur if we would have not ate everything. And human was very smart to survive. They ate everything, whatever available. And that's the reason we are here today. Otherwise, we would have been also wiped out like dinosaur. Now, having said that, cooked food was good then, but it was a boon and it was a blessing then. Today it is curse. We are obese, we are diabetes and all those things because we are eating 24/7, just eating. Like I tell people, if you don't eat, if you are eating without any reason or any purpose, you are nothing more than poop making machine.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
You just keep eating. Why you are eating? You have to think, because food is in front of you doesn't mean that you have to eat. Now, so coming back to your the one point that it was there, Saint Sapien, that the book Evolution, it says that, and I also agree that. But as a rational mind, we don't have to do what our ancestor did it. If we have to evolve, we have to do better for in current situation, today's situation. And today's situation, my rational mind says that raw food is the best thing, not the cooked food.
Yeah. Okay. Very interesting take on that. Now, personally, I would say the villain here for me, my perspective, is ultra processed food in our current food environment. To me, that's more a villain than whether I have my fish cooked or whether I eat it as sushi or whether I decide to go raw plant-based. I think that, and I think you would agree, that eating hyper palatable, ultra processed food is a fast track to metabolic disease, obesity, etc. And then from there, we have that distinction. Okay, living food better than quote unquote dead food, cooked food. So that discussion, yeah, I find this a fascinating discussion. I haven't been challenged like this in a while. Most of the folks I've had on this podcast, a lot of times we're basically in this cycle of agreeing with each other. So I love having these kinds of conversations. So I'll say I gotta hit you with this question because I know that as soon as somebody finds out you're plant-based, and you know where I'm going with this, I think, gotta ask, where do you get your protein?
And 95% people ask me this question.
I know they do.
Wherever
Yeah.
I go.
Yeah, right. Where do you get your protein, man? Yeah. Especially
And
today, because it seems like protein's having a moment, right?
yeah, but then I ask, and whoever asks me question, I ask, tell me how much protein we need. And most of the people don't know. Maybe
Right.
you must be
I,
knowing.
I, I,
Most-
I have an answer, yes, but go ahead.
right. And then they say, I don't know. So I say, okay, if you cannot quantify, how do you know, you are eating enough or less or what? So they don't have any answer. And here, everybody have different, if you ask Google, they say, okay, 56 gram for men, 50 gram for women, and that's it. Other people, they say, okay, no, the half of your, the body weight, so if you are 160, you have to eat 80. Whatever the gram and what I see this way. I don't want to measure how much protein I'm eating. I want to measure that I can run marathon or not. If I can run marathon, I have enough protein. I don't need certificate for anybody that whether I'm eating enough protein or not. Now, your question, from where? So all the vegetables have good protein. All nuts, especially the walnut and the almond, and it's solid proteins there. Now, I need 56 gram, and then I'm not a bodybuilder, I'm only 145 pound, and then I have good muscles. I have enough protein to run marathons. On the other hand, only 140, my 70, on his wedding day, I lift it on my shoulder and I was dancing on the street. This is what my muscles is allowing me to do it. Now, if this is the real certificate of I have enough protein. I didn't crumble under 170 pound of my son's weight. This is all reality. So and every lab is going to come out with some number, and I don't want to follow that. I want to follow the nature. Horse is not seeing that how much protein he is eating. It's so strong. Horse is such a strong muscles getting from where? From plant-based food. Now elephant so strong. Take it out anything in a spur of a moment, and from where they get protein, or how their muscles are so strong. So this is all hype created by the industry, the food industry, the pharmaceutical, the medical, the whatever you name it. Protein. Why we need this much protein? And our body need protein. I am not saying that protein is not important. I am saying protein is important, but not as much as the hype is created in the society. This hype is created in the society to sell the product, to sell the protein mix and protein shake and protein bar and protein this and protein that. And then at the end, okay, now you have arthritis, now you have a gout, you have Alzheimer, you have this and you have that. Why we need that, all this thing? This number is the human is the only species in the world is the most confused as far as when it comes to the food.
Correct.
All other animal knows what to eat, how much to eat, and what not to eat. Right. Even the newborn calf, they know what to eat. Human, even adult, they don't know what to eat.
We've lost that. Yeah.
Our hardwired intelligence is gone. It is gone because we survived and we ate everything, and because of that, that evolution brought some positive thing, but some negative thing. Now is the time. Think rationally. Think that what is good for your body. You own your body. You are responsible to keep your body healthy. It is not doctor's responsibility. It is
Amen to that.
not your mom or your dad or your teacher, or no, it is your responsibility to keep yourself healthy. And if not, no worry. Okay, keep paying the bills to the doctors, keep paying bills to the pharmaceutical company, and at the end, become miserable, lose your freedom, lose your privacy, and you live your life, the golden life, which supposed to be golden, but is become so miserable. Why?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's very well put. Yeah, absolutely love it. So just kind of going back to why, an elephant or the gorilla is the big one, right? How can the gorilla be so muscle bound on just plants? And biologically, it's because their digestion leaches out every last amino acid out of that food that they are eating. They naturally are selecting. A gorilla doesn't care about calorie counts. He doesn't care about his macros. He doesn't care about protein, but he has beautifully, wonderfully, and fearfully made in such a way that he or she can leach out the exact amount of protein to give them big, strong muscles, et cetera, et cetera. All right, I don't want to pound that to death. I do have very strong opinions on protein, and there's some really good human studies specifically on cohorts of 40 years and older, that have to do with muscle protein synthesis, which I think is spurring a lot of the protein hype today. But Axay, I don't know if you've seen this shit yet or not, but to let you know how insane the protein conversation is getting these days, Kellogg has just come out with their Pop-Tarts with now high protein version on it, which is absolutely obscene. It has more added sugar, grams of added sugar, than it does of protein. Just that's how far the madness has gotten. All right, I want to switch gears just a little bit because I think it was one of your videos maybe, where you had the 5 rules of raw food. So I thought we'd have some fun and just kind of go through these 5 rules of raw food. If you want to just take a minute to talk about each of these. That first one was embrace the joy of change. Talk to us. What do you mean there?
So first of all, you have to accept that this cooked food is not good and raw food is good. Now, if you don't accept it mentally, no matter what you eat, it is not going to affect you positively. So to affect you positively, you have to embrace it. This is not my rule. This is universal. Anything you do, if you want to learn piano, you have to have that attachment to the piano. You are not going to learn piano if you hate piano. Forget
Right.
it. Do something. Go for violin or go for guitar. But so whatever you are doing, first you have to embrace it. Embrace it mentally means it's not because I am saying, it's not because some other book said. This is because you think this is good for your health and you are accepting it. Now go forward. And it's like, okay, now is the second step, it's like, okay, after embracing, we have to evolve. So now go ahead and make the second point.
Yeah, second point. And I love this one. This is one we talk about all the time, especially with our clients. It's mindfulness in eating. And I think it catches a lot of people by surprise because in our diet culture, it's like, I've got to restrict calories or I've got to eat in a certain time window. But one of the biggest changes you can make other than what you're eating is how you're eating. So talk to us about what do you mean when you say mindfulness in eating?
So as no matter where you are, whether you are in a party, whether you are in your house, whether you're traveling, whether at your work, but when you think that this is the food which is good for my body, and this is no matter how much other your friends, your family members, anybody give you pressure that hey, today is your anniversary, eat this much cake, or today is your birthday, eat this. Don't give up. Don't listen nobody. I mean, this is you have to be so mindful what you're putting in your mouth every time, not only one time or every time. And that mindfulness gives you awareness. That awareness is something which anything you're putting in your mind, now putting in your mouth, your whole body knows that this is something, the new fuel came in, and we have to now process it to convert into energy. This information, we are not eating just the food, we are eating information also. And that is something which is when we are mindful, then only it happens. But now, if something is in front of you and you just gobble it and it is not, it's not right way to do it.
No.
Eat only when you are hungry. It's not because 1 o'clock, oh, it's my lunchtime, now eat. No, don't do that, and it takes time. It is not going to come out immediately, within a week or 10 days or one month. Do whatever you like, but if you are putting efforts to create the awareness, the mindfulness, and then that is going to give you, you are going to evolve automatically.
Yeah, I
Yes.
absolutely love that. I think that we have lost the sacred connection to food, right? Food is convenience. And when we talk about mindfulness, eating mindfully, the exact opposite is what most of us do, which is emotional eat or just mindlessly scarfing our food in between our hectic, busy schedules. Our digestion was never made to take this, especially this ultra processed crap, and just wolf it down and then go from one crazy hectic thing to the next. So yeah, I love that. All right. So very similar to that, or I think linked to that, is your third rule of raw food, which is listen to your body.
Most of the people forgot how to listen to the body. Everybody in every other species, they know when to stop to eat. And we are the only one, keep eating, 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 eating. And so, like in your house, there is air condition, and air condition runs on the thermostat. Thermostat tells machine to turn on, or thermostat tells machine to shut off. Now, if you just imagine that thermostat is malfunction, your whole system is screwed up. Exactly same way, we have those kind of thermostat in our body. Those sensors are there already, but we never paid attention. We never, minutely tuned it. We are not listening it. So when you are thirsty, drink water. When you are hungry, eat food. But when you are not hungry, don't eat food. That is what the listening to the body. And when body says that, okay, relax, just relax, don't stretch yourself. Or when body says, you're good, keep running. Now this is what the synchronization of the mind body is so important. And that synchronization happens slowly. It won't happen immediately, Now, right now, my taste buds are so refined. Even drinking water, it gives me different taste. Even I breathe the air, it gives me different kind of smell. Same air, same water, same everything, same me. But now my taste bud is so good. So when you listen to your body, it is going to evolve also. Every sensor is going to become better and better and better. And based on that, only you can evolve. You can keep your health better.
100% with you there. I think that not only have we lost that sacred connection to our food, we've lost that connection to our physical, sacred, beautiful bodies as well. I had a podcast guest way back in one of the very first episodes I did. He was an elite CrossFit athlete in his age group. And I was asking him, hey, what makes you stand out? You've won the CrossFit Games in your age division multiple times in a row. And he said, Kevin, when my body whispers to me, I listen. And man, that has stuck with me ever since, because I think most of us in today's environment, we can't hear our bodies when it is shouting and screaming at us, let alone when it's whispering at us. So to your point, it doesn't happen overnight, but it's a lost skill that we should not surrender lightly. We should work very hard to reclaim that. I absolutely love that. Let's see, where are we? Number 4 on your rules was align yourself with nature. I know you've already touched on this, but yeah, talk a little bit about aligning yourself with nature. I think we get the gist of what you're saying here.
So your listener or anybody else, they don't have to follow me. They don't have to follow any guru. They don't have to follow anything. Once they understand the nature is the biggest teacher. Nature is going to teach you everything. You just see it, all the birds, they come out in the morning, they eat their food and they go back to their nest. When the bird is pregnant, they know, to build the nest. How they know? They don't go to doctor. They don't do their test. Hey, now is, hey, I am pregnant. It's so wonderful. The nature has everything built in so nicely. And once you see it, the nature, it is your inbuilt, all those ability is going to now wake up, because now you are aligned with the nature. Nature, it's like this. If you're in your car, if your four wheel is not aligned, your car is not going to run good. It is going to be, very bad situation. So aligning with nature is actually aligning every wheel of our car, our body. It's align every moment with the nature. Don't be like a night owl. You don't have to read books and watch TV at night time. Go to bed. And it's that's the nature. When sun comes out, you also come out. Be in the sun, be in the water, be on the snow, river, ocean, mountain, wherever it's with the nature, the joy you are going to get it. And that's the thing. Any recreation spot, it is all nature made, and those are the thing giving you so much happiness. Just being there, you don't do nothing. You just sit in the front of a river, or in ocean, or anywhere, wherever is natural thing. Your being, yourself is going to be sync with the nature, and so joyful. And then if you have that observation power, now you observe and learn everything what nature is teaching you. That is my fourth point. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. That is very well spoken. I'm a big fan of being outdoors, being in nature, connecting to because that's another thing we've lost connection with, right? Especially those of us that are in urban environments. But there is something so beautiful and primal, and for me, spiritual, about connecting with nature deeply. And then, of course, learning from nature. I love that. And then rule number 5 is there are new rules. Right. You've alluded to that as well. And I think that I love your approach to this, right? As opposed to being everybody should eat raw food. And this is why. And this is, you're not strict. You're like, hey, it's a self-experiment.
So that's, I
There are
think,
no
rule
rules,
number
right?
5 number rule is so important.
Yeah.
Don't make your own rule. Hey, this is what I find is okay to me. I'm going to follow this rule. And then I'm going to be evolve. I make my own rule because I am a free spirit. I don't want to be a slave of anybody. And that, free spirit kind of that attitude, when you have it, you own everything. When you make the rule, so it's so funny, and it is so connecting. Then when you make the rule, definitely you are going to follow it, because you are not following somebody's rule. If you are not going to follow your rule, it means you are not your rule you are making is don't have that much gravity.
Yeah. You're out of
So
alignment
before
at
you
that point. Yeah.
so
Right.
before you make a rule, think about it, whether you are going to follow it or not. Or don't make that rule. So once you make the rule, follow it. That is going to give you more discipline, more willpower. And once you start, baby step, small step, whatever step you think is right, take that baby step, make that rule, follow it, make a note that okay, I what rule I made, I followed. Let's say you want to make a rule that okay, every Sunday I'm going to run 2 miles. Okay, go and run 2 miles, because what you made that rule. I didn't make that rule. You made that rule. Every Sunday you are going to run 2 miles. So you better run it. If you don't miss one Sunday, then punish yourself that hey, this is not right.
Yeah.
So that is what I mean it, yeah.
Right. No, I love it. It kind of goes back to your self-experimentation. What honors me? What honors my spirit, this amazing physical vessel, and by that's powers of self-experimentation, being in tune with your body, being mindful, aligning yourself with nature, all the things you talked about, embracing the joy of this, as opposed to, I think most of us, when we think about, especially on the aesthetic side, I want to lose fat or I want to lose weight. We think about restriction, and we think about, I got to go on a diet. And that's no way to make lifelong permanent change. It's doing something you absolutely dread, and something that's difficult, and coming at it with this restrictive mind change or mindset. So I love this idea of embracing the joy of change and being mindful and listening to your body, aligning with nature, all of the good stuff. And then, of course, topping that off with, look, there are no rules. This is your journey, right? All right, beautifully spoken. All right, I got a couple things here before I let you go that I got to ask. I'll say, in this current diet, do you take supplements? Do you have a cabinet full of supplements? What does that look
Full
like
of
for you?
supplement. So far, I was not taking any supplement. I was taking supplement only when I am running marathons. So during that time, 6 months or a year before, I start taking joint supplement, which is, I think, necessary for me at the age of 66, 67. My joints are not as young as 22 or 25. So
Sure.
I take that. I don't want to hurt myself. So that joint supplement I used to take, and that only when I'm running, not not 365. So secondly, now last my 2026 blood report, I specially asked my doctor, hey, you are always checking everything, but you are not checking my B12 and the D3. So they made because of my recommendation, my suggestion, they did it, and yeah, I found, because I wanted to see it, and so there is the kind of not bad, but it is okay, if you take it is better. So I started taking B12, which is most of the vegetarian people have the B12
Correct.
deficiency,
Yes.
and it is not horrible, but still I want to see why I'm doing this, even why I'm eating raw food. I want to eat raw food. I want to be healthy as much as possible. I am also going to fall sick. I am also die one day. I am also going to, but that misery, instead of 7 year or 3 year, I want to make it as little as 3 days, or maybe three,
3 minutes, maybe.
whatever,
Yeah.
three
No, I'm
hours.
with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm going. So this is not something golden bullet that okay, you are going to live for 125. No, I'm going to go. We are the visitor in this world, and we are going to go. The eating raw food is giving me chance to stay young as much as possible, and active, and also not dependent, or not facing all misery. That is the thing. So taking supplement is good only with the doctor prescription. Don't eat like, okay, you go to Costco and it is cheap, and okay, buy this and buy that and buy that. For what? That kind of people mentality, I tell them, it is like you are making your pee and poop expensive. That's about it.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. No, I'm with you there. We're chasing optimal health and chasing optimal healthy aging here, right? And supplementing where you're deficient absolutely makes sense for optimal health. Yeah, I have heard that most, and certainly when I was doing my plant-based, I was supplementing with the sublingual vitamin B12, and almost all of us in this day and age are vitamin D deficient. So certainly that would make sense. Yeah, absolutely love that. All right, I'll say before I let you go, I do want to talk a little bit about marathons. I no longer do the long endurance stuff, but that was a big part of my past. I was a marathoner, triathlon. I just like going that long, grueling distance. Why marathons, man? Why not 5Ks? Or why not weightlifting or some other thing? Why marathons? What drew you to that?
I don't know. It is so spiritual. Running marathon is one thing, but the preparation for the marathon, the practice, the training, and when I'm running on the street for 3 hours, 4 hours, and as many mile I can go, and I'm listening the books, and I'm in myself in the nature. I'm not. I have treadmill in my house, but I prefer to run on the street. So that is the marathon is, I think, is it gave me the second life. Actually, I was not running even 100 meter. I was not running even 1 mile. And one fine day, it was the 31st of December in a party, 2009 again. So 2009 was the kind of turning point
Transition
for
year,
my
big
life.
year. Yeah, right?
31st of December, I was celebrating with my friends and everybody. I just said that, okay, I want to run marathon. And my all friends started laughing at me. that you never ran even 1 mile and you want to run 26 mile, you are going to die. Mile 15, mile 20, you are going to die. So they challenge me, and they even offer me the $1,000 of my wish of charity. Another guy, another 1,000, another guy, another 10,000. So 12,000, I thought it is good for charity in India. I can send it that charity to India, and a lot of people can get benefit out of it. That gave me the challenge gave me, okay, let me start running. And I started running on 1st of January 2009 to 2010. And that's 2009 actually. So that happened in 2008 December, 31st
Okay.
December.
Yeah.
2009 I started running, and it gave me so much joy. It gave me pain in my leg, but after that pain, it is so joyful pain. And I tell people, it is running marathon is like when women they deliver the baby, they go through the labor pain and it's so much, but when they deliver, it's so joyful.
Right.
It is they want to become pregnant again. So this is I want to run again and again and again, no matter how much painful it is. And yeah, it's somebody even told me, hey Akshay, I saw your video, and when you crossed the finish line, you was not in a pain or anything. You was so live and okay. That's the thing, is that I'm running for fun. I'm not running to make some get the gold medal, or not running for even time and this that. Now at 66, 67, I want to see that I keep moving. Once you keep moving, this allows the my brother says you are spending 200 some dollar to register for marathon and taking this much pain. This is nonsense. I said, okay, you won't understand this. This 200 whatever amount is well spent, because it allows me now. I register. Now I have to run and prepare myself for training, and that the training is important. So yeah, I'm running for fun.
Running for fun. Yeah, I absolutely love it. All right. So hooked on marathons. What's in the future for you? Are you hanging up your sneakers? Do you plan on continuing on doing marathons? What's
So
on the horizon here?
I finished 8 marathon. I was talking to my son. Hey, maybe I'm going to go do 2 more, 10 at least.
Yeah. Do 10?
And then I will see what my body says. My body says, okay, I can run, I will run. If my body says no, you cannot, I will. Okay, 10 is good enough for this one life.
Yeah.
And yeah, people did 20, 30, 40. I know a lot of people they are doing, but they started at early age. So I'm not comparing myself with anybody. I'm comparing myself with myself.
Love it.
That hey, this is what my body is. My body says, okay, I can run, I will run. My body says, okay, Akshay, now just relax. I will stop it. So yeah, my goal is go at least up to 10.
Up to 10. Yeah, have 10 in the bag. All right. I absolutely love it. All right. I'd say as we're wrapping up here, folks that are listening to this, if they're curious, if they want to learn more, if they want to get the book, if they want to get in touch with you, where do you want to send folks?
So of course the new book is out. In Nature We Trust is available in Amazon and all other platforms. They can go to my website rawfoodies.com. There is another website, innaturewetrust.net. So those are the two website there, and it's easy to find out. You go to Amazon and just search my name, AXAYSHAH, and this book will pop up. And that's it. Order the book, read it, and see my story. My all 21-year blood report and all the medical report is in the book. Yesterday, my son called, Dad, you kept your report with your medical number and everything there. You didn't black it.
Yeah.
I
It's
said,
not
I don't.
redacted. Yeah. Right. Got
No,
nothing to hide.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have nothing to hide. Let anybody want to check it. This is something I don't have any motive. I'm not selling anything. I'm not selling banana. I'm not selling apple. I'm not saying buy from me. I'm not even a kind of commercial activity. This is my goal is to give back to the world. This is my life, last inning of the life. final inning. So I want to give back to the world as much as I can. So that's the reason I wrote the book. And so, yeah, that's I love if anybody have any question, anything, to hear from them.
Fantastic. All right. Well, folks, there you go. I will make sure I put all of Aksay's, I'll put the link to his book. I'll put the links to his website, social medias, all that good stuff. You can find that in the show notes for this. You guys can find that on whatever app you're listening to this on. Of course, head over to our website. Aksay, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was a blast. I'm glad we had this conversation, man. I just encourage you to keep shining your light bright, man. I love it.
Kevin, it's honor to be with you on your show. And I really enjoyed, your question, our answer. It was a nice discussion. And I hope your listeners get something from this all discussion and they improve their life. That's the bottom line.
Amen to that.
Okay, that's our show for today, folks. If you're over 50 and you feel frustrated or stuck and you want a clear plan, then I invite you to book a free clarity call with me. You can find a link to learn more in the show notes for this episode, and you can find that on whatever app you're listening to this on, or head over to silveredgefitness.com/420. As we wrap up our time together today, you can show your support for this show in two important ways. The first is to tell a friend about this podcast and encourage them to give it a listen. The second is for you YouTube folks to click the like and subscribe buttons, and for you podcast folks to please give this podcast a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, and be sure to subscribe and follow so you don't miss any future episodes. I really appreciate you spending your time with me today, and until next time, stay strong.